Hey everyone, I'm Ryan with Soki Weather. Today, on episode 3 of Severe Weather Awareness, we are going to talk about understanding severe thunderstorm risk categories. There's several risk categories. I'm sure you guys see weather statements, on TV, wherever, that we have either like a moderate risk, high risk, enhanced risk, and sometimes it's confusing what those mean. So we have Lucas here, our lead forecaster, and he's going to kind of explain to us what those are. So Lucas, can you explain what this scale really is and how it came about?
So what it is, it's basically a way for the Storm Prediction Center, which is based out of Norman, Oklahoma, to give the public and forecasters an easier way of understanding what their risk level is for a given day. And they actually go out 8 days. And they'll put out 4 days and beyond, they do percentage risks. And they just kind of say, hey, there's a chance that there could be some severe weather in these areas on these days. And that kind of gets your brain going and thinking, okay, there could be storms. And that's mainly for the forecaster. Just go ahead and have an idea of these might be days where we're going to have weather that could be impactful. We need to get prepared and be able to convey that to the public. Once you get to day 3, you're going to see one of the 5 categories. They start with marginal, which is...
So we won't see anything until 3 days?
Generally, here at Soki Weather, we're not going to post anything until it's at least 3 days.
Okay.
We're not going to post the day 4 through 8, just because it's so far out there and it's harder to understand.
Okay.
So starting with day 3, you'll start seeing the marginal risks, which is your level 1 risk, which is basically the most isolated severe thunderstorms you can have. It's very, very isolated and limited in duration and coverage. There's not going to be a whole lot in terms of storms with that. The slight risk we're going to see a whole lot of here. We have a lot of slight risk days, especially during late spring, early summer across Kentucky.
Yeah, I know, we see that all the time.
Yeah, and those are scattered severe storms. And those are the ones you're going to get more short-lived storms that produce some damage, but not a whole lot. Enhanced risk, we'll see a lot of those too. Those are a little more common than marginal risk, single by themselves.
Okay.
And that's when you have numerous storms. You're going to see a slight or an enhanced, honestly, more than you will a marginal, because marginal you just won't mention it because it's so scattered.
Okay.
Those enhanced risks, those are when you start to want to be a little more prepared. That's when the storms are a little more numerous and they're more persistent. They're widespread. The enhanced risk actually didn't exist until about 2015.
Oh, really?
They were it used to be slight, moderate, and high.
So there's just 3.
There were just 3, and they upped it and added these extra categories just to kind of give you a little more warning. Moderate risks are a little more rare. We don't see them a whole lot, and that's when you start seeing these widespread, long, intense storms. There are a whole lot more severe weather in those moderate risk areas, and then the high risk areas are the most rare you're going to see.
Yeah, very rarely have I ever seen that.
We don't have them a whole lot here, and on average there's only a couple a year period across the United States, and those are usually in the Midwest, in Oklahoma and Kansas. But occasionally they will happen here, and if we see a high risk here, that just lets you know that widespread severe weather is expected that day. There could be long track tornadoes that day. There could be long-lived and widespread damage across the whole area.
Does that indicate that there's probably going to be a tornado? Or?
There are different criteria that the Storm Prediction Center can issue a high risk for. They can issue a high risk for just a really, really intense wind event. It doesn't necessarily have to be tornadoes, but tornadoes are the easiest way to get a high risk issued.
Okay. So, at what point, would you say that severe weather is imminent, or that we are definitely going to have it? Is that a high risk? Or
if we get a moderate or a high risk, you can pretty much say that there's going to be some form of severe weather that day, but there is always a chance that the storm could completely bust and there's no severe weather that day.
Okay.
Just back last summer, there was a forecast tornado outbreak across Oklahoma in May. There was a high-risk day, large high-risk area was issued, and nothing happened. The severe weather ingredients just weren't there. They didn't actually show up.
But it's good, I guess, that they at least saw it and prepared the community.
Exactly. It's good to have that because you get that preparedness 2 days in advance, 1 day in advance. That way you know what's coming in a couple of days. That way you can be prepared for that watch to be issued, that warning to be issued when the actual event's going on.
Yeah. And I know just a couple episodes ago we talked about making sure you're prepared for the severe weather, knowing where to go, what to do when warnings are issued. How should we handle this, the risk categories?
So if you get placed in a severe weather risk category, here at Soaky Weather, like I said, we're going to post that. We're going to let you know when we're in a slight risk, an enhanced risk, a moderate risk, or a high risk. We're going to put that out there. And once you see that, you should know, I need to go ahead and get my weather radio batteries. That way I know that I have that. That's going to be able to wake me up if I need it. Get your water that you might need to take to your safe room. Get all of your supplies that you might need for sheltering during a potential tornado or a severe weather event. That way you have them all together. That way when the warning is issued on the actual event day, you know what to do and you know where everything is.
Okay, that's definitely good. Is there anything else that you think we should know about this risk category system?
The one thing that I would say, and it is very, very hard to get this across, storms do not pay attention to these categories. There's going to be times where we're not in a slight risk.
Yeah.
And there's severe storms. And there could be times where we're only in enhanced risk, but we still get the same storms that the moderate risk is getting.
Okay.
The storms pay no attention to these borders.
But this is just kind of a way to tell the community that this might happen, just to give us a general idea then?
Correct. It's a preparedness tool.
Okay.
More than an awareness tool to make sure that you know that severe weather is possible. And again, severe thunderstorms are anything that's capable of producing hail larger than 1 inch in diameter or 58 mile per hour winds.
So this is a lot different than a watch.
It is. It's going to be issued well ahead of a watch.
Okay.
I mean,
So the watch is when you know that it's about to happen. This is just to kind of prepare you to let
exactly.
you know.
This is to let you know, hey, a couple of days from now there could be severe weather.
Okay.
The watch is going to be issued a few hours ahead.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's very helpful. And I think that one of our next videos is probably going to be on where to take shelter.
Correct. And we're going to talk about where to take shelter. We're going to talk about what you might need in your safe area. What rooms in your house are safer than others, and anything else that you might want to know. If you have any questions, feel free to message them to us, and we'll try to cover them in one of these videos. That way, you know exactly what you need to do in the event that severe weather strikes you.
Yes. Well, Lucas, thank you for that information, and thank you all for watching. We'll have another episode up probably on Monday, and we again thank you for your support. Hope you have a great day.